When is the last time in your life that you felt like you were absolutely turned on, full of excitement, enthusiasm, falling in love with something that really matters to you or someone? That's about to show up in our Aquarian Venus transit coming up during the month of January in a very lovely way as she makes contact with the asteroid Eros and Saturn around the 22nd of the month. And on her way there, does some really cool rendezvous with both Mars and before that, the planet Jupiter. So we're going to talk about her transit through the sign of Aquarius and what it means through your sign. And its transit through the sign of Aquarius will be beginning on January 3rd. Your sign is going to be about you. And I want you to listen to your rising sign because your rising sign is you. It's like the perspective from your vantage point as a first house being. Your sun can be about your father, your career, your purpose, your moon about your mother, your home, your emotional set point and safety needs. Do you see what I mean? So if you don't know your rising sign, you'll need a birth time, and you can look at my down below description box, free tutorial on how to cast your chart in whole sign houses. I prefer that, but also just how to do that with free online software and find out your rising sign. Now, before we talk about how this is going to play out over the transit of Venus in the sign of Aquarius, during the month of January, we're also going to talk about the collective just a bit, and also how Venus is lined up to three very powerful stars as she docks with Saturn. Now, before we get into the general story, which will take me about 15 minutes or so, and I hope you'll listen to that because you'll learn a lot that will be useful when you listen to the smaller reading for your sign. I want you to think about hitting my like button. It's down there, subscribing, commenting for sure. And if you're not a part of my community at all, I have a Cosmic Moonshine newsletter that comes out every week, gives you the forecast written by me for the highlights of the week, but you also get a discount code for any reading with me that's 25% off, which is pretty generous. And you also have access to a bunch of contests and freebies that nobody else gets. So if you would like to do that, check out the newsletter subscription form below. I'm teaching classes. Sky Reader is going to be my third time teaching my 8-week intro to astrology class. Be your own astrologer, time your best life. Sells out every time on the wait list. Get on that wait list if you're even curious about it. Check the description box below. The class starts in March. Before that, Divine Timing Masterclass for people who've completed that course or are already advanced beginner or intermediate astrology people. And that is going to be a 4-week course beginning in February. All the information you need to sign up for that stuff and anything else I do, including my website, is in the description box below. All right. Now, when I talk about Venus, anytime I talk about Venus, I want to be in Venus's vibe. So this is a pair of earrings by a beautiful designer from Vancouver. Well, she's from Bulgaria, but she lives in Vancouver. And I'm going to put a link to her Etsy site down below because I adore her work. And these I always called my emerald green Venus earrings, and they're intricate and they're beaded, and it just speaks to me of Venus. And I put bracelets on that make me feel Venusian. I have my turquoise gold with turquoise stones in there. And, I'm just in the Venus mode. I poured myself a cup of emerald green tea. I know that you don't believe emerald green tea exists. Can you see it? Isn't that beautiful? And it's got some kind of blueberry butterfly flowers in it, and it turns the tea emerald green, greeny blue. So this is my tribute, even to the point where when I'm in a Venus mode, this I put under my mic so I don't get a lot of reverb on the marble counter, the closest I could find to a cloth that made me think Venus would like the color. Thank you to my subscriber for giving me that tip. I think I'm going to upgrade my mic this year, so we shall see how that happens. This is a Yeti blue. So going into the story of Venus, first of all, honoring Venus, feeling Venus, getting into her. She's love, she's beauty, she's beneficence, she's pleasure, she's sexuality. And she had a son named Cupido or Eros, and he had an arrow where he would shoot it and people would fall madly in love. I mean, he shot it at everybody, mortals and immortals, causing a lot of chaos because he had people tripping over themselves as they fell in love with each other. And in the Aboriginal Australian tradition, and I only know this from a book I read, of course, I'm not an expert, but the book talked about the thing called love magic. The Aboriginal people of Australia believed that when people fell in love, it sent a magic wave throughout the community, throughout the tribe. And they even to the point they would condone extramarital love affairs because the quality of eros and eroticism and falling in love is, and we all know when we fall in love with life, with something, with someone, a passion for our work, a passion for a person, the synchronicity picks up in our lives, the joy picks up in our lives. We just feel enchanted and uplifted. That's what's going to happen, I believe, on the 22nd of January, when Venus will rendezvous with Saturn. Now, but because they're also in a joint sextile to Eros, her son, with the arrow. And that's what makes this one really cool. Technically, Venus will only meet in the sky with Saturn, the Lord of time and karma, endurance, stability, edifices, chronos, fate, sometimes like the karmic fates that are around our story, the Lord of making things last. So whatever you fall in love with this month of January, who or what, it's going to have an enduring, lasting quality. But the idea here is that Venus doesn't do this again for 30 years. So we want to pay attention in the sense that in let's say February of 21, it actually was February 6th, March 28th to 22, and now January 22nd to 23, because Saturn has to be in Aquarius, which it won't be for another 28, 29 years again. This is 3 times that she does this every 30 years kind of vibe, right? So it's not incidental that when she joins with Saturn, we should pay attention. And so she's joining with Saturn this time at 24 degrees of the sign of Aquarius. And what I like about this one more than I like about the others is the activation of Eros, her son, that she's drawing into the narrative on the 22nd. And she's going to be talking to Eros, her son, who shoots that arrow and makes people fall in love or passion in the sign of Sagittarius. So that's literally where that energy is, a fiery fire sign, Eros, eroticism, connecting to a Venus sitting in 24 degrees of Aquarius conjunct Saturn. And at the time of her conjunction, when she's nearly perfecting it, there's also the sun and the moon in Aquarius. And technically the moon is even almost perfectly coming into a conjunction with Saturn and Venus. So it's got a lovely lunar energy. I love this. I'm sorry about the notification sound. I'm going to just make sure that I turn that off. Let me pause the recording to turn off my notifications. My mistake not doing that yet. So I encourage you to take advantage of this, because I know that a lot of us have been burned by love, whether we fell in love with our career, with a place we lived, with somebody that we were involved with. And then we feel like we get maybe like the short end of a stick, and maybe we can't trust our feelings anymore. But this is a very beneficent flow between the two. Sextile is what it's called, between Eros and Venus and Saturn. And that's the nature of Venus. Sextiles are the nature of Venus, whereas squares are the nature of Mars, right, in the ancient world. So there's something about this that seems very protected, and you can trust what's happening in the sky on the 22nd. You can trust your feelings and your passion and your excitement to take you where you need to go. There's a Sabian symbol connected with the 24 degrees of Aquarius, and you always round the Sabians up, so you look for 25 Sabian. It's a butterfly with the right wing more perfect. Now, I think that's about the right brain and left brain. I mean, every Sabian expert has their interpretation, right? But I'll just say this code, the Sabian symbol, channeled by somebody else, this Wheeler years ago, written down by a dude. To me, this is about the right side, and the right side is the feminine, like it's the right brain side of your body. Like the right brain rules the left side of your body, but the rightness of the right brain. So when we say someone's, oh, she's so right brained, he's so right brained, what we mean is they're creative, they're intuitive, they're flow oriented, they're more process oriented. And we say left brain, we think logical, analytical, that kind of thing. Now, truly, ideally, we're whole brain beings, but there is this quality that we associate the right side with. And so this butterfly wing is very right-sided, perfect on the right side. So I think it's leading us towards a message maybe around what we fall for in the month of, what we fall for or who we fall for in the month of January, individually and collectively, could be considered to be more on the intuitive, feminine, nonlinear, love-based side of reality. Now, the other thing I want to point out is there's 3 cool stars involved. I love looking at fixed stars. Those are the stars in the sky, not the planets, and they're outside of our solar system, so they get extra weight. They're kind of like not bound by the karmic matrix, right? The matrix that we're in. The matrix is really Saturn and under, and then you can say the transpersonal and Kuiper belt objects, transpersonal planets, or transgenerational, such as Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, the Kuiper belt objects way out there. You could consider that these may be sort of like forces outside of the matrix, like when Neo wakes up from the matrix, he gets red pilled or whatever. Okay, so the stars, though, that we're talking about that are clustered around Venus as she engages with Saturn at 24 degrees of the sign of Aquarius are these stars. So first of all, I'm going to talk about a well-known star and two lesser-known stars. The well-known star is Deneb Algedi. It's called a Bohemian star, and it's the tail of the goat, the Capricorn symbol in the heavens. You're probably wondering why Capricorn, it's Aquarius. That's because in sidereal astrology, they're actually tracking the real-time sky, whereas in tropical Western astrology, we're tracking the symbolic pinning 0 degrees Aries to the spring equinox. Now, I didn't mention this. I am a tropical Western astrologer, and I think I said my name is Lori Lothian. Fixed star Deneb Algedi is the tail of the Capricorn area of the constellation, and it can promote success through the development of the mind, okay, when you aim to make the world a better place. Now, when we talk about Venus being a benefic and a good girl, like for everybody, like a female Santa Claus or fairy godmother, this is a very important star in the sense that it's about making things better for all. So keep that in mind. She's very tightly, almost 0-0 connected to Sador. Sador. Now, this star is in the Cygnus to Swan constellation, which in the ancient Egyptian tradition was considered the portal to the other worlds, the realm of the other side, like the afterlife, etc., which is kind of mystical. And yet, the write-up I'm going to read to you from my software says, associated with the breast, love of beauty, that's very Venusian, high aspirations, a quest for a good and a rich life. Okay. Also a cautionary note to say no, just say no, avoid doing too much, need to say no, or just stop when needed. So keep those two things in mind. And a little bit further out, but still pretty close to Venus and counting in terms of space, how close she is one called Sadalsuud. Sorry, it's a obviously Arabic name, Sadalsuud. And it's, I'll just read it to you, okay? It's a star of Aquarius, a Capricorn influence, sometimes good fortune, sometimes not, connected with consequences for a change of mind, stimulates a high level of individualism, associated with radicalism and innovation. Now, if you could keep all those ideas in mind, come back and listen to this. Some of these will maybe apply to how this plays out for you more. These stars are like infusing this event with those energies. Okay, so the real story is Venus and Saturn in Aquarius conjoining in a sextile to the asteroid Eros. That's the story. But then there's this sort of like rays of infusion of those celestial themes that come from the stars. And so, you know, all of our lives will be, hindsight will be 2020. You'll come to the other end of this, you may be able to figure out what the heck that meant, but just be knowing that there's good stars, there's good space. This is a good vibe. Now we're going to do the all signs, but before I do, I want to talk about Venus and Saturn. And what I want to use is my favorite book, The Archetypal Universe by Ren Butler. Now, we're not going to go through every Venus transit, but like around January 4th, she hooks up with Jupiter, and that can bring a little bolt of yay you, luck, moment, happiness, some success that you didn't anticipate coming, you know, and each of us will have that come in a different way, depending on where the Aquarius house is in our life, for example, and where the Aries house is in our life. So that first touchdown with Jupiter is quite sweet and quite lovely. And then later on, she'll make a rendezvous contact with Mars. Now, Venus and Mars are opposites, goddess of love, goddess of war. So yeah, but when they get together, they're feisty, hot, and passionate. They were cosmic lovers. They had an ongoing love affair, despite the fact that Venus had a husband. So she was a naughty girl. And so they're going to meet and they're going to go into what's called a trine. This is Mars retrograde in the sign of Gemini, Venus going forward in the sign of Aquarius. Trines are lucky and opportune, the nature of Jupiter. And this will happen on January the 9th. So you can look for a lucky break in your life. I may just touch on this briefly in the all signs because it's such a sweet spot in the sky. Because Mars is retrograde, you may not get the full evidence of this sweet spot on the 9th of the month until Jupiter goes direct, and he will go direct on January 12th. So look for that unfoldment of some kind of kiss from Venus as she applies towards her cosmic lover Mars, bringing a bit of luck, but passionate stimulation as well around January 9th, but maybe more evidence of it after January 12th. All right. Now, Ren Butler has kind of put together all planets and created like an archetypal cookbook. And he's an archetypal astrologer who I have studied with. And this is Venus Saturn. And Venus Saturn, he says, are satisfactory relationships, quality time, feelings of responsibility, and commitment in one's relationship life, solid working partnerships, blendings of beauty with integrity, relationship, and the shadow can be relationship tests or coolings of affection, social burdens or responsibilities, feelings of loneliness or fear of reaching out, and doubts about one's attractiveness. So I'm giving you both sides because conjunctions can be both positive and negative. They're harsh sometimes. So, pay attention. But even if you felt lonely, burdened, socially responsible, or felt like you need to cool it on a love relationship, what does it mean that Eros, her son, who strikes that arrow of passion and ardor and enthusiasm and in loveness and turn on into your life, is still happening? So there's that. And anything else I want to say? Does he talk about any good quotes? He likes to put quotes together that reflect this. So Freud said, all that matters is love and work. Now, Freud has a Venus and Saturn connection in his chart. That's why we're using him. And he really does talk about the way that Saturn wants you to have stability, and he talks about stirring the oatmeal type of love where you're really working it out, working at it. And I think that's very appropriate. And lastly, I'd say, here's another one. This is a quote, I used to dread getting older because I thought I would not be able to do the things I wanted to do. But now that I'm older, I find that I don't want to do them. That's Nancy Astor, who had that Venus Saturn in her chart. Here's the thing. Like, to me, it's like enduring love, sober-minded love, sober-minded beauty, lasting beauty, eldering beauty, Senex, sage-like, wise woman, crone beauty, because Saturn is the elder, the aging one, the Senex. Saturn is the sage-like wisdom, and you pair that with Venus, the goddess of beauty, and Aquarius. Aquarius is humanitarian, we the people, what's good for the collective. It's innovative itself. It's got great ideas. It can be connected often to scientific advancements. And so there's a sense here on community for sure. Venus is applying the Eros factor from the fiery Sag zone. And I'm going to show you a picture of the sky before we do all signs. I want you to see it. And I might even just advance the chart for you guys, because some people like that advancing of the chart story. So I think you can see here, maybe this will be an advancing of the chart version of one of my videos. Makes it easier for my sister to timestamp. You can see that Venus here, 8 degrees, and Mars will be connected on January 9th. And as I progress the chart forward and we keep moving forward, we see that Venus is moving into a contact point right here at 24 degrees with, as you can see, Venus. Maybe I'll annotate for you just for fun. There they are. There's Venus and Saturn and the moon close at hand. Now that is a new moon, right? There's the sun and the moon is just leaving the sun. So it's also a dark sky. It's a new moon energy. And you can see that Venus at 24 degrees is looking back over her shoulder with Saturn co-present or conjunct. And they're looking at this one, and that little heart with the arrow through it is Eros. Yes, falling in love with something, someone, some situation, some moment of time, some specialness here. It's so special. I want to sing a song. It's special, so special. Saturn is the ruler of Aquarius, and she's in his home. And so there's something about her being there, and they like each other, just so you know, because when Saturn is in Libra, Venus's air sign, she gives him the VIP treatment. That's his exaltation zone. So she tends to favor him. If this was like a horary for a love story, and I looked at a couple with this energy where, let's say, the woman was Venus and the guy was Saturn, I'd say that the relationship has a condition in which Venus exalts Saturn. Therefore, there may be an imbalance in power. Like the woman is like putting the man on a pedestal, right? So there's this qualitative energy between the two of them where she has almost like a bow down to Saturn sometimes. Like, I exalt you when you come to my Libra home. What do you need? You want a massage? You need some, like, a chauffeur? Can I get you anything at all? And so there's a special quality there. So Venus is going to apply a lot of energy towards mitigating, supporting, honoring and listening to what Aquarius Saturn wants, which is a lot to do with stability, rules, obligations towards community, lasting love, enduring things, going the distance, you know. So I'll say one thing: if you're single, and we'll get to your sign, and you're looking for love, this is not a flash in the pan. The quality of the Saturn element here means that you're only looking for something that can last, but you want to be turned on and inspired and fall in love. But so you're not like, this is not like the betrothed, you know, it's not a mail order bride, and it's not a betrothed marriage, and it's not a marriage of convenience or a relationship of convenience or a job of convenience, or whatever the situation is that is causing you to feel passionately engaged, but with an eye to the long haul, the long tail, and the long game. Okay. Anything else I'd say about this sky before we go on? No, I think that's it. I think we're good to go. And I'm going to do all signs, and I'm going to give you guys a little bit of a touchdown on the Mars story, what happens when Venus trines Mars this time around. But more, I'm going to lean into what is this enduring turn on? What is this last and hot spot? Where are you getting all hot and bothered, but you know that it's about something that matters to you, that you're going to want to keep going. You don't want to give up on, that it's going to go the distance. Now, when I go through the all signs portion, I really don't want to say this 100 times over, but your sun and your moon are secondary to your rising sign, because your rising sign is when you were born. It's the eastern horizon and the star system on the tropical zodiac that was constellated on the eastern horizon at the time you took your first breath. And the first house and the ascendant are you, where everything else, including sun and moon, can be other people in your life. Although categorically your sun may involve or may relate to your career and purpose, and your moon may relate to your emotional and security needs and how you're feeling, but they're also sun, father figure, moon, mother figure. All right. So check out my description box and cast your chart in whole sign houses. So we're going to start going through the zodiac. I guess I can keep this up. Let me unannotate. I don't remember how to do that because I don't do it off. Undo and undo. And we're going to go through the signs. Now, I'm going to start with Aries just for convenience. Not that I prefer Aries or anything like that. I know some people get all like, what? Why is it always Aries that go first? It's like, has to do with zodiacal order, and how when people come into the videos on like a premiere, they're all confused. I remember just recently I did Pisces first, and someone said, did I miss my Aries already? I'm like, no, we're going with Pisces first. So let's move it back in time, and we're going to go by, here we go. This will make it easier for my sister who works for me now to timestamp this, because I can't do everything myself. All righty, here we go, guys. Don't forget, like, subscribe. If you're in the live premiere, don't forget, please hit my like button, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed. All right, here we go. We have in this storyline for Aries people, which I am an Aries sun and moon, so I get you guys. What we have is we have Venus sitting at the top of the sky in the 11th house of good spirit. Am I recording? I am. You know, I do this all the time. I go like, am I recording? Because I pause to turn my notifications off. And then I would just shoot myself if I was recording. FYI, just before we get going, I want to tell you guys something. And people often say you have such great hair, but I had COVID on September 25th, and my sister had it a year ago, whatever. And people say, oh, my hair is so thin after COVID. You should see the brush out, how much hair has been in my brush 3 months after having COVID. I know it'll grow back because it's like your body shuts down hair production, but I'm always laughing because I can't believe my hair has become so relatively thin, and it is a Venus video, so I give myself full frickin' permission to preen in front of the camera and to talk about the damn hair. All right, because I know some people, one person said to me, stop preening when you're doing your videos, it's distracting to me. And I know what I said to him in the comments. I said, for fuck's sakes, then turn off the video and just listen, or just, you know, listen, don't watch. I know people are so freaking weird sometimes, like they're so entitled. Let me do me. And if you don't like me, go somewhere else. Okay, back. Nancy, you can timestamp here. All right. Aries, sun, moon, and rising sign. At the top of our sky, the 11th house is part of the top of your sky. You have this lovely energy. This is basically most often a friendship space and a career space. So these are your larger groups of belonging where you're having this kind of enduring love turn on, but from the 9th house. So why is Eros in the 9th house? It's also maybe a love and a turn on about your career in terms of your reputation gains, successes, your celebrity can be here. And yet it's a 9th house arrow. So what is that arrow doing in the 9th house really? Because before this, remember earlier in the month, as I mentioned in the video, around the 9th of the month of January, Venus has already done a rendezvous in a trine with Mars, who will begin to outpicture what that was about after January 12th when he goes direct. So it's like Venus is saying to Mars in your third, from your 11th house to your third house, what trips, travel, sibling things, online world, website, virtual neighborhood things are going to be opportune and lucky for you in some exciting way, but then later down the road, you're going to stick a landing about what can last because you're already in love with something or someone or some situation. But now you're saying to yourself, will it last? So Eros in the house of foreign lands. Do you cross paths with a foreigner who turned you on? Eros in the ninth house of God. Do you fall in love with a spiritual faith or tradition that allows you to amplify your larger social groups? I mean, honestly, it could be like you go to the Kirtan group in your neighborhood and you fall in love with it. Now you're a Kirtan person and you're totally inspired. Kirtan is chanting, or a temple, or a spiritual community. Or ninth house things for some Aries can be about education and learning, especially with Mars also in a learning house. So all of a sudden you're turned on, super inspired, found your way, passionate about learning. And what you're going to be learning can be very important to your great gains from your career. Now, technically, because it's a friendship house, it could be falling in love with your friend. You know, it could be every rom-com and a half where the best friend, guy, pal, friend zone dude turns out to be the right one. And why is it always the other? Why is it never the other way? But you know what I mean? It's always the girl friend zones the guy, but it could be the other way too. And so somebody in your friend zone that you may actually fall for is basically what I'm saying. For single Aries, all right? If you're already in a relationship, right? This is not really necessarily about that. This can be a completely other area of your life where you're falling in love with something. But if you're in a relationship with someone, it could also be falling in love with them because you travel together and take a trip and you fall back in love with them. And now you really want to make this a relationship that goes the distance because the 11th house is your longer goals and dreams. Like, what are your visions for your life? What are your aspirations and hopes? And this could be about renewing an existing relationship and bringing it into a deeper sense of alignment so that you have a new hope, but maybe because of a journey you take together somewhere. You know, Venus rules your marriage house, Aries. And so she's coming into an enduring stick the landing vibe with some kind of love story. So, you know, I would say that basically this is a time in which any existing relationships can find a renewed fire of Sagittarius excitement, but I do think it may be because of a trip that you will plan or take. You know, it doesn't mean you're going to take a trip on the 24th. You may encounter the opportunity for a trip or plan the trip, or who knows, maybe around January 9th when Venus was trining Mars, you got that trip off the ground already, and now you're in the afterglow. It's certainly good for money if you want to make lasting gains in your monetary endeavors through your career path. You could be inspired with some kind of new form of communication, new idea that's part of the Mars energy in the third house, but also that will apply to teaching something, publishing something, like a book. Eros is in the house of book publishing. As a writer and someone who aspires to publish a book and finally get that done, I've had this total download. I am, don't forget, Aries sun and moon, about a book, and I've got the name of the book and I registered the website, and it's my astrology legacy work that I'll be writing up in this year. But who knows what inspiration can hit me, what idea, what insight, what download, what passionate aha moment can occur because Venus in the house of great gains and long range plans with Saturn will look over her shoulder at that Eros in the house of book publishing after having tangled with Mars in the house of writing. Lastly, siblings belong to the third house. Eldest sibling belongs to the 11th. For some of you Aries, things to do with your siblings are taking off in a positive way that bring enthusiasm, passion, and excitement to you because of what's happening with them or for them, or collaboratively. And maybe a sibling will visit you, or you visit your sibling by travel. Things that are that nature could also be involved in this story. All right, I'm going to just pause while my coffee. This is my tea, my emerald green tea, and it matches the background. I'm trying to be very aesthetically pleasing because I'm doing Venus, right? But I'm going to put some more warm water in it, and I'll be right back. So you won't even know that I paused as I move into Taurus. But I will pause, and I'll be right back with my warmer tea. I'm back, and it is now totally warm. And we're going to continue with the narrative. Oh, shoot, resume share. That I lost the, for some reason, I lost the picture. I bet you guys can see it. I can't. Okay. So let's go into Taurus land. And this is not a long video, just FYI. Sometimes you notice lately I had 2-hour videos out there. Hopefully this is not a 2-hour video. Taurus, sun, moon, and rising sign. What a beautiful story for you because you're Venus ruled. Venus is the lord of your sign, the chart ruler, the helmsman of your sky, just as it is for Libras. I'm always educating people here in traditional astrology. And basically this means that what she does, you should always be paying attention to, and she's in your career house. If you're a Taurus with career, reputation, purpose, success, and ambition goals that you want to go the distance with, and you want to have a lasting result, but also feel passionate, enthusiastic, and in love with that energy, and able to execute great financial gains of like securing passive income, revenue, things that eighth house over here. Eighth house is things like, okay, franchises, royalty income, derivative income, investment income, mortgages, bank loans, investor income, venture capital income. I'm just making up things that that's what the eighth house would be regarding 10th house themes, money and career, but that kind of other people's money, bank loans that you know, business loans that you can get your hands on. The Eros is fire, passion, excitement, enthusiasm in that eighth house, talking to Venus in your career and reputation house. This is like so luscious. Certainly it can look like something as simple as getting an amazing business loan or a new mortgage for your work or business. I mean, if you're independent, or your company saying, here's some shares of our company, and then, you know, they're going to take off and you can get rich here. Who knows? Because stock shares, company shares would be the eighth house. But this is a good money story and career story that brings lasting and enduring results. And it happens to be happening on January 22nd, where it kicks in fully, but give or take a few days on either side. And before that, early in the month in January, Venus will tango in a positive Jupiterian love up with Mars, and that can really open up more money as well, because Mars is in your money and earnings house, cash flow and possessions. And so she loves that up with lucky opportunity earlier in the month, around the 9th or so of January. Wait for Mars to go direct out of that zone, because when he's retrograde, unfortunately, he may not give you the full goods, but he will go direct on January 12th. And so now we're in the afterglow, maybe what we're seeing here is you capitalizing on an enduring plan, game plan. Literally, if you're employed, this could be very great success for you, like a raise or a promotion or some upgrade going on in the month of January. And if you're self-employed or an entrepreneurial type person, this also loves you up tremendously, especially regarding reputation, coming out on top, you know, smiling and looking really good as you sort of capitalize on some kind of success story, all right, in career, reputation, and money areas. And lastly, you know, sometimes Saturn brings endings. I want to say that. And Venus is feminine energy. So somebody in your workplace who's a woman may leave the job place, retire. Somebody in your career path may exit, you know, kind of, and that may open up more possibilities or opportunities for you and bring you into greater financial alignment, because that woman, that feminine force, has Saturn constrained, restricted, or left, or retired out, or something like that. And, you know, I just love the vibe here, because you're definitely looking like you have what is categorically, unconditionally, a passionate new money career zap. Woo! For most of you. Don't forget, this is bell curve astrology. I'm talking about most Taurus risings, secondarily sun and moon. Get the vibe. And I didn't really say this for all signs, but in general, obviously, it's happening at 24 degrees of Aquarius. So if your sun, moon, or rising is anywhere near the 24th degree of Taurus, you feel this a lot more than all Tauruses, but all Tauruses are going to feel it nonetheless. Okay. And don't forget, it's the last pass of Venus, Saturn in Aquarius in your 10th house of career. You're done. It happened in, you know, 2022, 21. And this is the last pass in January of 23. And so hopefully this is like three's a charm and you're loving it up and going out strong. Now, let's keep moving. And I just want to pause because I got it. The dog just asked for some attention. I think it has to go to the bathroom. I'm back, and you didn't even know I was gone. Not only do I have more tea, but I took the DOG for a WALK. I'm not going to say the words out loud, because when I do, the dog wants more of that thing. So now I'm going to continue and back to the sharing of the screen. I believe I had finished with Taurus. This is a terrible thing when you pause a recording, but I'm 90% sure we were moving on to Gemini. So Taurus, yes, I did. I remember I finished you up. Gemini, sun, moon, and rising sign people, especially always most accurate is your rising sign. You're going to say to me that this is, I'm going to say to you, and you might hopefully get back to me, that there's a potential for heating up romantic and committed love stories in a very huge way. And if you happen to be a single Gemini, what I think about Venus connecting with Saturn in your ninth house is that she's moving into what looks like a desire for a very clear relationship that is coming out of the ninth house, connecting to love and commitment, love and passion in the seventh house of marriage. So there's Eros and there's Venus. Now, before she even gets to this January 22nd love story from the ninth house, which can mean love in a foreign land, love connected to academic environments and colleges, love connected to someone from a different culture or background than you, or some kind of passionate love regarding foreign lands, travel, or academic study, but connected to Eros, the passions coming from the seventh house. So there's another person involved. Seventh house is always other people. It's not you. It's so someone else is inciting this passion in you. And what I wanted to mention about it is that she does start off like around the 9th of January in that trine to Mars in your first house. This is you making some action, getting ready to incite some kind of proactive action, decisions, momentum, or direction in your first house, because you're the one holding the sword. You are Mars. You are the one wielding it. Now, Mars has been retrograding since October 30th till January 12th. So you've been going inward and looking at your inner decision-making, action plan, strategy. You've been going inward, but now you're going to go outward. And just before that, you know, on the 9th or 10th of January, Venus loves up Mars. And it's even before that. So Geminis are making action, decision, and momentum things occur regarding ninth house stories. Yeah, academia, foreign land, foreign shores, travel, spiritual and religious beliefs, faith, book publishing, house of the father in Vedic astrology. But yet with the Cupido over in the seventh house, this is somebody else involved. And since Jupiter is a ruler of that Cupido, it can even be that some passionate engagement with somebody in your friendship circles or coming to you from a friendship circle happens. Technically, if you're single, this definitely looks very love story like. And if you're not a single person, then this could be something to do with a passionate trip with your primary partner, your spouse or your significant other, or a specifically exciting journey somewhere with somebody you're already involved with that incites a new level of ardor, passion, and enthusiasm. Like there's almost a need to reinvigorate a marriage part of your life for a lot of Geminis, whether you're married to your business partner, to a real marriage partner type person, committed love story. There's a rejuvenation going on here. A real incitement of excitement and maybe even pioneering something new and healing some of the old wounds that you may have incurred through time with a longer term partner, and restoring a new sense of hope and faith and excitement in a primary love story. Finally, you know, the stars are so auspicious up there at the top of the sky with that Venus. So if you're an academically inclined Gemini and you're going off to university, or you're already in school or college, this is very super powerfully positive for you in regards to you achieving lasting and enduring success. Maybe because the other person is a professor or a class that you're totally into, like the teachers got you all hot and bothered and turned on about an academic direction that you're going in. So that's what I think about that, Gemini. Tell me what happens in the comments. I'd love to hear back. You know, I do read all of my comments and reply to them. And if you're watching my live premiere, which is going to be all my Patreon community gets this stuff ahead of time, and most often like 5 days, 7 days, 3 days ahead. This video is being recorded on January 2nd. I got behind with my social activities over Christmas. And so they're only going to get it 24 hours ahead of you guys. But I just want you to know that if you normally get onto my Patreon for $5 a month, you get a live meeting with me, ad-free content, early access. So just teasing you, a teaser ad here before I move on to Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. And hit my like button in the premiere. Thank you. Please. I just put honey in my emerald tea and I don't like it. Ugh, I recognize myself as a non-sweet person. Okay, moving to Cancer, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Venus is meeting with Saturn in your 8th house under the light of those 3 auspicious stars that I talked about in the beginning, connected to Eros and also the butterfly's wing, the right side being more perfect. Well, Eros is coming from your 5th, 6th house of the work you do in the world, or the work that you do as service, or your daily work, or your work and health routines. And you've got a fiery, passionate Eros building up a lot of enthusiasm here for you Cancer rising. Is connected to money, your 8th house money. Now, you know, your paycheck cash flow is your 2nd. So it's other kinds of money coming through the work corridor. It can be residual income, it could be investment income, it could be spousal income, it could be money from inheritances, but it is connecting to your work. You're trying to create, I mean, you've been living with Cancer, Saturn moving through your 8th house for almost 3 years. You've been trying to go steady and sure and safe and conservative around your treasure chest, your investments, your 401k, your credit card debt. Yeah, Venus is loving you up here and giving you a break in your finances, basically, of those types of things, mortgages, credit cards, debts, taxes, whatever. And it's coming out of the 6th house. So maybe it's just that you're going to bust out with a great deal of enthusiasm for some line of work, or get even a wonderful new job that helps you to eliminate some of the terribly maybe frustrating or slow moving or anxious stuff that was been going on since 2020, since like really this March of 2020, when Saturn first entered your 8th house. Now, I do also want to say that because Venus does connect with Mars earlier, around January the 9th, give or take a few days, you're also concocting perhaps monetary goodness from PayPal, Stripe, or payment processors, or barter and trade to foreign shores, international money-making schemes. But also you may get some really deep and incredible insights that are quite occult, magical, mysterious, or spiritual in the first bit of January, let's say like from the 6th to the 12th, even with that Mars trine Jupiter. And then you parlay that later on to this sort of enduring financial, resourceful work and money up level. But at least the thing about this is the last time Venus and Saturn will connect in 28 years in your 8th house. And so this is really important. And excuse my nose. And yet you're finishing strong with this kind of passion and enthusiasm for the place of service and work. And so like you're turned on to the point where you're eliminating financial problems because you're really in some kind of groove with some kind of passionate work or service or work routine that you are coming into contact with in the month of January. And, you know, Venus is a ruler of your house of great gains from your career, and she's sitting with Saturn in the house of chunky money. I see a lot of this as a money story for you, especially with the North Node and your great gains from your career. Maybe you're somebody as a Taurus who always thought money had to come hard, or you had to rely on other people's money, like, you know, your spouse's money, your parents' money, 8th house money doesn't belong to you. But all of a sudden, a lot of you Tauruses are going to be going like, holy man, I got this. I can do it. I can be rich. I can make my own money. I can have my own great gains from my career. You know, maybe you even had heavy duty energies leveraging money, and now you're tired of that and you're going to pick up new steam because Cancer rising, I didn't say that right, because of that Taurus, Venus ruling your Taurus 11th house. This is the house of the eldest sibling. Maybe an eldest sibling will give you a bunch of money, but if not, it just looks like a lot of excitement about the sudden financial freedom. Financial freedom is coming to a lot of Cancer rising throughout the month of January. Get ready, get set. Let's see what happens. Let me know in the comments what that looks like. If it's about love, it's a secret love affair done in the hidden shadows with somebody who's either older or that you wish to have a lasting relationship with. You have to keep it on the low key, low down, hidden realms, away from people's prying eyes. And it may be someone connected to karma, karmic debt, or your work environment. That's the way that love story could show up as well. Leo, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, in your story, this is going to be Venus in the 7th house of committed love, like, you know, marriages and monogamy and commitment and fidelity, with Saturn, the god of going the distance. If you're a Leo rising, especially, you know, Saturn here has been really putting you through the gauntlet of intense pressure, to work on a hard relationship. Like a lot of times Saturn in the 7th house means you're working really hard on a hard relationship. If you're single, you can meet an elder person than you and start dating them. But, you know, this has been going on since March of 2020 with Saturn there. And Saturn's leaving in March of this 23. So I guess the gist of it, though, is he's finishing up with a Venus love up. So it can mean an end to a long and hard relationship. I'm going to just not lie, right? Because Venus Saturn here on the setting place could be calling it quits, like hitting a marathon completion, graduation, finish line moment in a very challenging relationship. However, if that's not the case, then maybe you grind into commitment. Like, we're going to make this work. But you've got enthusiasm, passion, and ardor in the house of romance and sexuality connecting to Venus Saturn. So if you were single as a Leo rising, I'd say you could meet somebody you're going to go the distance with. It's going to be a long-lasting relationship. And boy, you're both totally in love and hot for each other, and romance is high. Okay. But if it's not that, then it's the other story, probably. If you have your own business, this could be passion, enthusiasm, and ardor for your own business, leading to new greater public exposure in a lasting way that increases your popularity with the people, especially given the onset with the moon is popular with the people with something you're doing. And it's a new moon, a new start, a new level of popularity and public appeal in some independent entrepreneurial endeavor. But you have so much enthusiasm, excitement, and passion for it. It feels effortless, feels free, feels lovely. And, you know, Venus does rule your 10th house of career. So a lot of this looks like a career story to me more than anything. But when it comes to love, it's cementing a love story that you finally commit to despite the difficulties. It's ending one if basically Saturn and Venus collaborate and say, karmic finish line has been reached. But you will be inspired, and fun and freedom and pleasure in the 5th house will open up because of that ending. And then lastly, it definitely bump up your public exposure, marketplace, audience, clients, and successes there as well. Last time you got this Venus Saturn thing in next 29, 30 years. So let's see what happens with that. And please, please let me know in the comments, Leo, what happened for you. Okay, Virgo, sun, moon, and rising. My daughter's one of you, and my best friend's a Virgo, and my son's a Virgo sun, and I'm surrounded by you guys. Well, first of all, you know, Venus and Saturn. Let's talk about Saturn in your 6th house. Health challenges, work is hard, grinding. My daughter's a student. She's grinding, you know, grinding at whatever your work is. She's also a part-time gym rat, works in a gym. So the thing you do that is your work or your health challenges have had Saturn through here since 2020. Karmic health challenges, grinding, working hard, you know, working hard to be of service, which all Virgos want to do, just working hard. So all that's going to end in March when Saturn leaves your 6th house. However, this last pass of Venus that, you know, don't forget she was here in 2021, 22, and now 23. This is our last time connecting with Saturn here. And now what she wants here is she wants to create some kind of enduring, lasting, positive outcome from things that connect to your health. So she's a goddess of love and art, but also beauty, all right, and joy. So health, love, art, beauty, joy, lasting results regarding work and health routines. Saturn here is definitely like sage-like, and Venus is also the feminine. So a female sage or wise expert that's helping you with your health challenges could be showing up for you in January and making a turning point in those areas. When it comes to your work environment, a female in the work, a colleague in the workspace, somebody like that could be making some sort of story here that is going to be about either a lasting new result. You could get a promotion, a raise, or that person could be leaving the workplace. Venus Saturn can be about an end or a karmic shelf life on a female in the workspace. But also there's a lot of passion coming from your 4th house. Now, Cupido in the 4th house and Venus Saturn in the 6th can be a tenancy thing, a chance to rent out a property you own or to lease a property for yourself. And Venus would make it beautiful. Saturn would make it lasting and worthy. Cupido means you're excited and passionate about the opportunity. Even selling can happen with Venus in the 6th because she eliminates debt here, and mortgages are debt. So you pay off a mortgage by selling a property. So there's a possibility of selling a property. If you're a single Virgo, you know, this is January 22nd, where this is constellating, and you're looking for a relationship. This could be a collegiate workspace relationship that comes into your story, into your life, as a result of Venus conjunct Saturn, maybe with somebody older or with the boss or someone above you in a power structure at work. Not that that's the ideal relationship necessarily, but it shows up as possible. And the other thing is that Venus trine Mars earlier on, around January 9th, give or take a few days. That's kind of a buildup to this January 22nd. And it's work stuff, work career. Venus is trying to harmonize and even out and love up some kind of conflict you've been experiencing in your career. Now, it can be a conflict about your career, like you don't want to do it anymore, it's the wrong path, or it can be a conflict in the work career space, like with somebody being combative, argumentative, passive aggressive, because Mars had been retrograde until January 12th. And then there's a clearing, a healing, and a resolution that Venus is bringing into play as early as January 9th, like let's say January 6th to the 10th even. And then later on, everything gets more flowy around the workspace energies, either about your conflict about what you want to do in your work or around actual conflict in the work, okay? Workplace conflict could be with a woman, with a female, but it doesn't have to be. Okay. Venus exalts your 7th house of marriage. And, if you're dating, like in your single Virgo, and you'd start dating someone here, karma, lasting relationship, Saturn, eventually Venus moves into her exaltation at the end of the month of January, which means that she goes straight into making a dating story into a committed story. So any single Virgos in that story that begin dating in January are likely to be committing by the end of January, early February, like committing as in like, we're not just dating, like we're gonna like be exclusive or something like that. All right, I think that's about it. Thank you for listening. And if you are in my Premier Live, watching and chatting with me in the box, please hit my like button. Really, really, really helps the channel grow, especially during the premieres when the algorithm hooks into a lot of people attended and liked it. Then they share outwards a lot more fast, quickly, and with greater boost as soon as we're done in the live premiere. All right, Libra, Sun, Moon, and Rising sign people. So in your story, you've got Venus joining with Saturn for the last time in, next 29 years in your 5th house. This is where Saturn has been since March of 2020, more or less. And this has been putting hardship on your fun, your joy, your sexuality, your play, and your pleasure. Like, these areas of your life, sexuality, joy, fun, play, pleasure, romance, have maybe felt difficult. And, it really got more difficult after December of 2020, when Saturn really landed there for good until March of this year. Things are about to get better. If you're a Libra rising, or Libra sun or moon, but rising is always a bit more accurate, you may be ready for a change here. You may have felt like, geez, should my sex life feel this hard? Should my joy factor be this? Should my joy factor be this, muted? Should my fun be this hard? And now Venus comes along and she's really saying, no, it doesn't have to be that hard. It doesn't have to be that difficult. It doesn't have to be like an ordeal of trying to have fun, trying to have sex, trying to enjoy your romantic life. But because the reason is she's hooking up to her son Cupido, that sounds incestuous, but anyway, Eros, Cupido, in your 3rd house. Now this is like romantic ardor, passion, enthusiasm, and a vital spark of eroticism coming off the 3rd. That's trips, travel. Therefore, you and a partner take a trip and it restores the vitality and the excitement and the passion. It could be about your neighborhood, things going on in your neighborhood that activate more fun, joy, play, and pleasure, but you're inspired, or something you're learning. You skills-based learning is the 3rd house. 5th house could be natural talents and skills. Venus is a goddess of the arts. And so maybe suddenly some Libras go, OMG, I took a course in XYZ basket weaving, or, watercolor painting, or how to change a tire. And I am loving it. And I'm so good at it. And wow, it's a natural thing for me. And you're re-inspired by finding a muse, a hobby, a talent, a gift that you can latch onto. And you're like, you discover this like closer to January 22nd. Before this happens, back earlier on January the 9th, Venus has come through a trine to Mars, and Mars is retrograded till the 12th. So some of the action on that trine won't show up till after January 12th. But what it basically says is that there's also some kind of new enthusiasm, momentum, and directionality regarding foreign shores, foreign lands, travel, academic environments, book publishing, and all of that. Eros is in the house of writing. For some of you Libras who like to write books, Libra library book, this can be real enthusiasm and passion for a writing project that gets some momentum and glow up because you see the dawning of the light for the words agent and book publisher sometime around the 9th of January, followed later on the 22nd with a serious look at potential contracts, agreements, that kind of thing, because Mars rules your house of legal contracts, getting a sign up with an agent or early advances from a publisher or something like that. And this is definitely looking like potential love romance trip for some of you who are either single, meeting someone on a romantic trip, or if you're with someone taking a romantic trip, that really going to give you a new level of passion and excitement, fun and pleasure in your primary relationship, but also tell you that this is to go the distance, right? This is like fertilizer for the long haul. If you are a Libra rising and you or sun or moon, and you are not wanting to have a child, you or your partner, be careful. Venus, Moon, Saturn together here can be definitely a super duper fertility signal around the 22nd of January, especially on a new moon. So I'm just going to give you a heads up that this is time for high level birth control or else. Okay, let's keep moving. In the live premiere, please hit my like button. Scorpio, sun, moon, and rising sign. Well, Scorpio, this is Venus in your 4th house of real estate with Saturn. Now, you've been living with Saturn in your real estate and home and domestic life, and it has been hard. First in March of 2020, but more permanently got in there in December of 20. And, it could be like your home life felt constraining, restrictive, and difficult, isolating and alone. Now, the pandemic did that to a lot of us. You also may have felt like, or you could have had an elder move in with you, but also you could have felt like things to do with property, land, and real estate, especially around purchasing, selling, and buying, or whatever has felt difficult, hard, and constrained. Now, Saturn leaves March 7th, and that's going to change. But before he does, this is his 3rd time meeting Venus. And this time around, unlike 2021 and 22, she's in a sextile to Eros, her sun, which brings passion, enthusiasm, excitement, ardor, turned onness about your money. There's a money turn on going on here. Now, technically, possessions is your 2nd as well. You may possess a new home, right? That's a possibility, especially given that Venus starts off in the 4th house sextiling Jupiter at the very beginning of January, around the 3rd and the 4th, meaning that some of you may find a new lease, sign a new lease, rent a property out. But something about money, property, maybe leasing or buying and selling could be going on in the month of January. But the ardor passion is in the earnings house. And you may have an uptick in some kind of enthusiasm around something you're doing to make money. And this can also add to a sense of renewal around the pleasure and joy and beauty and enjoyment of your home or your home life. A female could be visiting you who is an elder person or an older female in the month of January. Saturn, Venus connecting here, and the moon could be even a mother or mother figure visiting you in the month of January. But since it's connected to Eros in the money house, it's definitely making you feel totally turned on about earning money, enthusiasm. January the 8th, 9th, 10th, there's that Venus trine to Mars, her cosmic lover in your 8th house from the 4th. That's a legacy wealth placement. Money from mom and dad, grandparents, family of origin. That looks like that what I'm seeing here. You may just get a lucky break and a parent just says, oh, it looks like you're having a hard time. Let me give you some money, but not to, people pass away. So parents, grandparents, legacy wealth, family, ancestral money could be coming through the sky in the month of January, but it could also just be Scorpio favors from those people financially. It doesn't have to be someone's passing away. I want to be really clear about that. Certainly with the moon here, with Venus, it would be a female figure likely dispensing some kind of financial blessings from your family of origin. All righty. Mars rules your house of work and he trines Venus early in the month. So, definitely looking like also potentially raise or promotion is engendered here during the month of, if you're in a job where a raise or promotion is possible, a lot of Scorpios may receive a raise or promotion. And if you're a Scorpio who has your own business or isn't employed, you're a student, or you're doing other things, whatever, that's all good. There was a beautiful full moon here on January 6th in your ninth house of education. So if you say you were a student, Scorpio rising, this would be also a very positive time for you regarding getting excited about what you're doing in your home, like studying at home, studying from home, maybe. But mostly, I think this is exactly what I already said it was. So let's keep going. Thanks for listening. Let me know in the comments what happens for you in the future. I learn by learning from you guys. So tell me your stories, please. I do read all my comments, heart, like, and respond. Unless you're a troll, then I try to ignore you. Sagittarius, sun, moon, and rising people. Well, first of all, this is Eros in your sign, right? There he is, little heart with an arrow through it right there in the first house of you. Depending on where your rising sign is, if your rising sign is near 24 degrees, you are turned on. Like you are so turned on around January 22nd. I don't know what's going on for you. But I mean, basically Eros is moving through all of Sag, right? Well, let's just do this for fun during the month of January. So we could say that Sages are getting turned on. Look, take a look at this. I'm going back. But just ignore the fact that everything looks different to you. Eros will have entered the territory of Sagittarius starting on around December 19th, okay? And so starting from December 19th, Eros has been taking to task every single Sagittarius and trying to turn you on and trying to get you excited, enthusiastic, passionate, engaged about life, about yourself, about your perspective, about your focus, the way you see your career, the way you see your significant other, the way you see your home life, the way you see your children. You are being infused with the glow of Eros, life force energy, revitalized. And then, it really sticks the landing around January 22nd when Eros will sextile Venus in her last of 3 passes with Saturn for the next 30 years in your third house. So 21, 22, and now 23. This time we finished strong with her sun Eros sextiling her from the first to the third house. So third house is trips and travel, siblings, your local neighborhood, your online world, your shops and tiendas around where you live, your siblings, aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, and nephews. It's a very busy place. You can be writing here as well as traveling. Journeys, shorter trips are often indicated by the third house. So you can see you're passionately traveling, but if you are, for example, Venus, Saturn, you're traveling for love. You're traveling in a way that connects to love. And, you may be looking at this as a romantic getaway, but it can also be a learning getaway. You may be traveling because you want to learn something. So it's an educational trip. If you're a single Sagittarius, you can meet somebody on an educational trip or just a short trip or journey. If you're with someone, you're traveling with some love story person and you're learning something together. This fits for my Sag sun husband, whose wife and he are taking a Tantra workshop around this time, as far as I know, and on a trip to somewhere to do that. And also, for example, you have, I lost my thread. Just before, at the beginning of the month, around the 9th, building up towards this 22nd, there's a trine from Venus to Mars in your 7th house of committed relationship. This is definitely an energy of mending or holding together or bonding a relationship that may have been under some stress. Mars has been moving through your 7th house since August 20th and will be done on March the 25th. And this could mean conflict in your marriage, or your marriage partner's been conflicted, or they're having a struggle with significant other. And now Venus is saying, okay, let's soften this thing up in January around the 9th. Let's mend those fences. Let's bury the hatchet. Let's not fight, that kind of thing. And then I see a lot of passion here because you are the one with the passion. You found your passionate spark again. You found your life force back. It's coming back. Your life spark is coming back. I know a Sag who just called me, a friend of mine named Giorgio, and he was really stressed out about life down in the dumps over the last while since Mars was in his 7th house, really. Anyway, that's turning around for him as he's feeling that Eros spark coming through and is returning to life feeling. So a lot of Sages are kind of feeling like resurrected in a way from what could have been a time of feeling like beleaguered by the audience, the other, the clients, the marketplace, or your significant other, or just not wanting to engage with others at all, especially since Mars retrograded October 30th. Through to January 12th. Having Mars in your 7th is like the world out there is a dangerous place. I think I'm just going to hide out. Those other people are too gnarly. I can't cope. All righty. The third house is childhood friends, and Saturn is longevity. So there may be some old, long-standing childhood friends that you may reconnect to because you travel, maybe back to where they live, where you used to live, or journeys like that. This definitely looks like, I mean, there's no way that by the end of January, some of these Sag people are not off on some major journey somewhere. And with a new moon in the third house and the sun representing the ninth house of foreign lands, pilgrimages, and all of that, this could be very much a bigger journey than just a local trip. Okay, so I hope that helps. Let me know in the comments what's going on. If you're a single Sag, it could be love on a trip. And if you're with somebody already, love happens with the trip. All right. You turned on and traveling. Oh, hang on. I'm doing days. No, that's not what I want to do. I want to do hours. We're progressing the chart to the hours. All righty, Capricorn, sun, moon, but especially rising sign. And everyone in the premiere live with me, please hit my like button. Thank you, thank you, thank you. It just simply is the simplest thing you can do to support me. You don't have to give me stickers and chats. Well, that's nice too, and little bonus tips, which I get sometimes. Thank you to Kelly K, a regular of mine who's always tipping me generously. Oh my God, I need her to email me. I want to gift her a reading. But you know, the whole crew there, and I've got a lot of new people showing up and some old people, MK, Balkan 200, Flexing Fate, Ace of Spades, Astrid 1111, Oana are some newbies that I'm seeing coming into the room more often. Thank you for being there. So appreciate all of you, as well as Misbehaving LA Taylor, Mercury with the Message, Jupiter 8, Stephen the Jupiterian, who are my regulars. You know who you are. Thanks for being around. And everyone, thank you for liking my channel. All right, Capricorn, 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 sun, moon, and rising sign. You know something? I think this for you is going to be a happy money story, but it's happening in a way that has a long tail. You know what a long tail is, right? It's like something, or it's something that lasts a long time. Like you put it into motion and then it just keeps on going. It keeps on going. The tail is really long. It's a long tail money story. And I feel like this is to do with something to do with, you've been going through a time since 2020, March, more so since December of 20, of really feeling conservative, serious, maybe worried, constrained, disciplined around your money. Now, sometimes it's about learning to be a master of that money that you earn and the possessions you have, but it's not always easy to have Saturn moving through the second house. Not everyone is equipped for that. You're a Saturn ruled being, so you're going to do like me, Aquarius, better than most with Saturn going through a money house. But just to know, it's not always the oh my God, isn't money a fun place? You know, you might be looking at money in a very sober and serious way. And now all of a sudden Venus is finishing her third pass here. Now, don't forget, I told you in the beginning, she was here before. If you listen to the beginning, she was here in 21, she was here in 22. Now she's the last time for 30 years. So she's trying to work with Saturn to beautify, bonify, and bless you financially, but with the mandate that it is a way that is going to make a lasting impact. It's going to make a lasting, conservatively successful change in your money trajectory. So January 22nd is this connection. And it's happening just after a new moon as well in your second house of money, which is so blessed. And I do feel like the Saturn hardship is going to feel like it's easing, because Venus is saying, like, she likes Saturn, right? She exalts him when he visits her Libra house, like I said in the beginning. So she's going to say, oh, blessed, wonderful Saturn, how can I help you help this Capricorn rising person feel better about their money stories and their self-worth and their self-value. Also, the things you eat and put in your mouth, smoke and drink, Saturn has been trying to help you clean that up, be moderate, more conservative, more seriously focused on not harming yourself through inappropriate food and addictions and sources of ingesting stuff that you shouldn't. Often Saturn here makes us more focused on simple foods and austere foods, and rather than indulgent foods and gluttony, the opposite of gluttony. Venus here could bring you pleasurable foods that allow Saturn to also keep you regulated around your food or your addictions as well. And there's a love, a passion, an excitement coming from Eros in your 12th house. Now, this is foreign shores, foreign lands. Some of you may go off to a foreign shore, foreign land during January and into a little bit later, but also it can be about your deeper spiritual quest, to have spiritual awakening, enlightenment, to find your way home to God, to break out of the matrix, the full moksha liberation, go full Monty, go Buddha, go, Jesus Christ, go Krishna, go Muhammad. So we go all the way through to the other side, right? In the 12th house of liberation. It's the highest level of spiritual attainment. And there's passion and eros and fire and excitement here. And that's been building for you as a Cap rising, right? Since December 19th, when Eros entered your 12th house. So it's really picking up speed, and it's your deep inner life is getting rejuvenated and revitalized, but it's also connecting to that money story. So, but it's also your voice, vocation, and calling. Second house can be parsed as a part of that narrative. So maybe you're finding a new vocation, voice, and calling for you with foreign lands, foreign shores, or deep spiritual questing. And I would say that, given that Venus rules your sexuality house and your romance house, and, there's a sort of pass the buck over there with some excitement with Uranus. Some of you are definitely looking at some up levels in your romance, as well as Venus, Saturn say, we're going to find a long enduring romance that's financially stable, but we're also feeling some excitement around romantic sexual energy that can go the distance, like finding the long tail in love. Long tail in romance. But January 9th or so, she's going to trine. And so if you're a single Cap, this is not my class that you're going to meet somebody, but it could happen that you meet somebody because you're traveling to a foreign land. Otherwise, if you're with somebody, this is also that journey that can deepen the relationship, but also maybe you're going to deepen your self-worth, not just your finances, as a result of some travel. I think that because Venus trines Mars in your 6th house of work and dating, but work routines and habits and health, this is definitely for a lot of Capricorns going to look like cleaning up January 22nd, but starting as early as January 9th, beginning to clean up your health regarding your food style, your substances that go in your body through your mouth. Okay. That's how I'm seeing it. Okay. Let's keep moving, and let me know how that goes for you in the comments. If you come back to the channel after things have, shaken out, let me know what goes on. I'd like to hear back from some of you. Let's go for Aquarius. Aquarius, me, sun, moon, and rising. Well, first of all, I need a haircut. So every Aquarius with Venus transiting like January 3rd, add 3 weeks through our 1st house, we're so looking for some serious haircuts or color. I haven't had my hair cut and colored in over 2 years, just over 2 years. I got a pair of scissors and snipped them myself recently, like about a month ago, but that I only took like a 1/4 inch off because I don't know what the frick I'm doing. So I have a feeling for a lot of Aquarius rising, especially sun and moon secondarily, you're really looking at like how you want to get in touch with your beautification again, like hair, nails, makeup, pleasure, spa, downtime, enjoyment of your physical form, falling in love with yourself, liking yourself a bit more again. Certainly Venus here can do that. And with this ardor aspect, passion in the 11th house, if you were a single Aquarius, you could fall in love with a friend, or fall in love with someone in a friendship circle, or have a friend introduce you to someone that you fall in love with. But also you're falling in love with your great gains from your career and connecting it to enjoyment and pleasure you feel personally. You're connecting ardor and passion and love and excitement and enthusiasm and vital spark and life force to your goals and visions for your life, as it applies to how you could honor the part of you that is Venus and Saturn together. Saturn, the part of you that is serious, realistic, determined, perseverant, and responsible, and the part of you that is beautiful, pleasurable, pleasure loving, pleasure seeking, friendly, likable, etc. Those elements are all coming together in a new way for you. It's a new moon energy that this is happening right after in your 1st house. It's a reset button for you, a new beginning for you in your health and your identity, in the way you see life. And you're definitely a lot of Aquarius, as you look like you're coming into contact with a new level of passion around your long goals and your longer range dreams for your life. Early in the month, around the 9th of January, there's a trine from Venus in the house of you to Mars in the house of sex and romance. Although it won't be until after January 12th that Mars can fire up the real goods when he goes direct. You may find that some romantic engagement from the past, because he's still retrograde during the beginning of this trine, is going to get a new leapfrog forward after January 12th, where Venus in the house of you looks over at her cosmic lover and says, yeah, we're going to spark that old romance back up again. It's more likely that it's something from your past than something brand new, but it could also be for a single Aquarius, potentially something from the past, but not this life coming back. But because it's really starting off that trine, while Mars is still in his retrograde, although he's slowing down, like around the 9th and 10th, he's literally stationing, you know, he's slowing down to station from the 10th to the 12th. He's not even moving. It's a very important for the Aquarius people trine, right? There's a new love piece coming in, romance and love. It's also good for your children and your relationship to your children, having a new button, a reset button, going in a new direction, stationing in a new direction, new moon, new beginning with your children as well, and your relationship to them in a positive way. I find that, you know, with this ardor, passion, enthusiasm, 11th house energy, sextiling that Venus-Saturn, as they're finishing up this journey where Saturn and Venus won't connect in your first house for another 30 years. Whatever you latch onto, Aquarius, you water bearers like me, whatever you latch onto as a kind of a visionary new dream or life path goal, if you do latch onto that anytime around the 22nd of January, this thing is important. This is in alignment with your true values, and you know you can take it the distance, yet you have such enthusiasm for it. It just vitalizes and sparks up great gains from your career with greater ease. For entrepreneurs like me, Mars in your entrepreneurial house trine by Venus, January 9th is really good, especially with that slow stationing 8-degree Mars on the 10th, 11th, and then moving direct on the 12th. You know, it's like really intense energy around some new level of new beginning of entrepreneurial success. But again, where you find authentic joy, it's in alignment with your values. Venus exalts your earnings house, you know, Aquarius, and she's going to move January 26th into your earnings house. So whatever's going on in January, well, as she moves into January 26th into February, into your second house, all systems go on the money front, but it's in a new integral alignment with who you are as an entrepreneur, or if you're employed as an employee. We've been going Aquarius with the South Node through our 10th house of career for a long time, since January 22 to July of 23, that's still happening. And I can say that I've come to this new realization about the kind of astrology I wish to practice, and my podcast, and I've got the name of it already. It's called Deep Code Astrology, and I've got the domain. I just downloaded it a few days ago, and I'm like, you know, I really want to teach people how to harness astrology rather than have them think about it as a fatalistic thing that they're waiting for everything to happen to them. And I'm getting too many comments about people terrified by the Pluto Aquarius or living in fear of the sky. And I'm like, that's not how it works, guys. It's a code. And we're code breakers, and we code break so that we can break out of the freaking matrix and live like Neo when he knew how to defy the laws of reality. So that deepcodeastrology.com will be a website. It will be a podcast. It will be other things as well. Stay tuned for that. And that is where I've got a spark of absolute excitement. Okay. So all you Aquariuses are getting ardor, spark, enthusiasm about the longer goals and dreams of your life, about greater gains from your career, about new friends and friendship circles, but they're in deep alignment with who you are and your values. Thanks for listening. If you're in the chat box premiere thingy with me chatting, please hit my like button. First and always first, Pisces, fishes of the world, the mutable signs, the deep mystic poets of the zodiac, your story with Venus, who is your exaltation Lord. She exalts in your sign, which belongs to Jupiter, not Neptune. She's in your 12th house. Deep dive here, guys. This is like soul work. All right. Saturn has been doing soul work in your sky since March of 2020, more earnestly since December of 20. You've been going deep. You're a hermit. You've been alone. You've been isolating. You've been contemplating. You've been finding solitude, sometimes solace in solitude, sometimes pain. If you were a single Pisces, it's not good for dating. And if you were dating, you're probably not getting along with, or your marriage partner, significant other, because you really are coveting aloneness. You're wanting to go into a time, you've been there, you're finishing it in March 7th when Saturn leaves, of contemplating the meaning of of God, of wisdom, of truth, of life, of how you fit in. Sometimes Saturn through here gets you to learn something traditional, a new tradition of learning that can open up portals of new understanding. And in your case, ideally skills-based learning in your chart. However, like my sister Sydney's a Pisces rising, been studying Lenormand Tarot and learning on that front. However, the 12th house Saturn last finale could incite you a new passion and ardor around your career. Because, you know, Cupido has been going through the career house now since December 19th and picks up that wave of energy with Venus and Saturn and a new moon as well in your 12th house. What you're doing behind the scenes in some kind of backroom deals or negotiations, or just behind the scenes quietly, like, you know, like doing the, you know, it's like doing the stage setting before you open the curtains to some new passionate direction in your career or purpose or visible reputation or visible actions in the world. And you're going to like note that this spark of something new that you've been doing from the quiet backroom, dreaming at night, imagining, maybe contemplating, maybe sharing with your closer friends, is going to really spark some kind of new excitement for your career or purpose or visible reputation. And I feel like with Jupiter, who's the ruler of Eros in your second house, it's going to bring you money. It's going to, because you've got Jupiter moving through your money house all the way through to May the 16th. And that's a once every 12 year, oh my God, here comes the cash flow. So your money's increasing, but it's connected to passionate career direction, right? It's not connected to like inheritances directly. Although Venus does own your inheritance house, and a spousal inheritance or money from legacy monies could show up in your life. As a result of what we're seeing here. It's also the movement of that Eros in your 10th connected to Jupiter in your second that tells me you could have both. You could have some legacy advantages, money coming through family of origin wealth. At the same time, you are killing it in your earnings. You are killing it. So I'm really happy for you. And that's about it. You'll see by the time you get to the middle of May, you'll get what I mean. New projects, new ideas, planting new seeds for greater financial wealth. Not all the wealth will show up between now and May. Like basically that's kind of like Jupiter's seed planting, right? He's putting a bunch of like really good golden eggs in your money house and earnings house. Golden eggs, yeah. Early in the month around the 9th, there's a trine from Venus in your 12th to Mars in your 4th. This could be about selling or buying a property. Okay. Backroom deals and negotiations around buying or selling a property. That's early in January, maybe around the 8th or 9th, or moving or changing homes, backroom talks and deals, negotiations, or moving and changing homes. Mars is the ruler of your 9th house. And technically that can mean also that there's legal matters and courts and court situations that need to be resolved around homes, moving, real estate, things like that. Or funny enough, you know, weirdly, I mean, your spouses, if you have a spouse, your spouse's siblings is also the 9th house. So what conversations with your spouse's siblings need to take place. And I'm bringing that up because that's a real deal that may be happening with my Pisces rising sister. And it's really cool to see it in the astrology of this sky that we're looking at. You know, lastly, Venus is the ruler of your 3rd house of siblings, trips and travel and journeys. So there may be something coming off of this Venus-Saturn energy that's going to open up a doorway around connection to travel and siblings as a result of what's going on here, and some excitement and passion and ardor in your career as well. And if you're a single Pisces, it doesn't really look like a love story because if it is, it's very hidden from the world. The only best I could say, a single Pisces could meet somebody in a foreign land and form an enduring relationship. Otherwise, it looks a lot like what all the other things I said. It does not really have a lot to do with like, as a Pisces rising necessarily impacting your significant house of marriage. It's not really that story at all. It's all about you. This is your time, your soul work, your story. Although with the Mars trine Venus, there's also a change of home that could happen that's very blessed. And that time around the 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th of January, you'll see what I mean regarding the home themes that Venus is trying to support. Thank you for listening, Pisces. Alrighty. Thanks for everyone who's in my chat, who stuck to the end. Thank you for being here. And I always encourage you to check my description box below if you want to study with me. Sky Reader is happening in March. It's 8 weeks of learning. Be your own astrologer, time your best life. Or you may want to jump into my intermediate to advanced beginner divine timing masterclass, learning some ancient timing tools that you maybe have never heard of and that may help you, but you cannot start there. You have to be already into astrology. You have to know the fundamentals before you're thrust into some advanced timing tools. Trust me, I learned that the hard way when I sold this course in May of 2021 to 55 or 6 people, and half of them had never even seen an astrology chart before. Oh my effing God. Excuse my language. It was a shit show trying to get people up to speed to use these tools. And that was my fault for not putting a qualifying barrier on the Divine Timing Masterclass. Alrighty. Thank you for listening. I would hope that you're enjoying the live premieres with me, and like, let's grow this channel together, guys. I'm starting the year at 15,000 subscribers. I'm going to make my goal 30,000 by the end of the year. And last year I had 3,000 at the beginning of the year, and I made my goal 10 and I made it to 15. So this year I'm going to aim for 30 and see what happens. Bless all of you in the new year. May this year be an amazing journey, as we have such planetary shifts this year, changing all of our lives. Check out my All Signs bundle down below. May encourage you to look at your sign, rising sun and moon, by buying the bundle and share with friends and family, and support me for only $35. Your code is Santa25. It's only for YouTube viewers. Nobody else has that code. So a special shout out to all my YouTube people. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'm going to, stop the share. Oh my God. It kind of almost got dark here as I was talking. So cheers to the tea. This, I'm going to have to give you the name of this tea, guys. It's too good. It's too good. Are you still here? Let me grab the tea bag for you. The Emerald Green Venus tea, okay? For anyone who needs to know what this is, okay? It's called, its brand is 4 o'clock. Something stuck to it. It's called Herbal Tea Calm Stress Relief Anti-Stress. Who can use Tulsi, lavender, and blue pea flower, which is how it turns that really cool color. I swear it's amazing. Sometimes I put it in a mason jar because I just love to look through the color of it. And it does taste good without putting any honey in it. All right, ciao. Thank you. And I'll see you in my next video.